You're listening to the Cambridge Insider Podcast. On today's episode, hosts Mariah and Stephen give a 2026 update and market focus. Today's episode is sponsored by North Yarmouth Academy. NYA is an independent, co-ed college preparatory day school and boarding school serving students from early childhood education to postgraduate. Thanks for listening.
Cambridge Insider Podcast time. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cambridge Insider Podcast, the first episode of 2026. Co-host and colleague Mariah Thompson, how are you?
I'm doing good. I cannot believe it's 2026. This is going to be my sixth year with Cambridge, which is so fun and so crazy.
Congratulations. What are you in the marketing and host department keeping yourself busy with as we kick off the year?
Yeah, so lots of taking over host recruitment this year, overseeing all that. Really happy to say that we're seeing a lot of our schools that were in critical need of hosts are transferring into our surplus side, which is amazing. Really happy to see that some of our programs, if you're listening, you know who you are. We're glad to see you in the surplus side. So just seeing people eager to host, wanting to host, and spreading the word. So it's good stuff.
Absolutely. Congrats to you and your team. I don't firsthand, but I know just from being in countless meetings and update meetings with you guys, know the hard work you've put in. So obviously Cambridge and the entire network just appreciates everything you do. Carrying on from that, you do a ton for the podcast as well. And as per usual, you found an absolute gem of an article that I think really talks to what we're going through right now in the international sort of context. Do you want to just sort of enlighten our readers a little bit about exactly that? And we will put it obviously up in the show notes so all of our listeners have access to that.
Yeah. So this is an organization that we have referred to in the past. If you're a listener with us, you know we we frequently talk about ISEF. We talk about IIE, Open Doors, and all those organizations that work together as well. And so soon we'll be getting an Open Doors report for the upcoming year. And so leaning into that, ISEF just released in December an article that kind of just hints into, and it's called Global Trends in International Enrollments and Policies as we head into 2026. And so in this article, which again we'll put in the show notes, you see ISEF just doing a deep dive on the four major international student locations, and that is Canada, Australia, US, and the UK. And they're just giving a brief summary of what it looks like as that we've headed into this school year, what has increased, what has decreased. And for this year, there was a decrease in enrollments to Canada and the UK, which it seems like that has benefited us on the US side because Australia and the US did not see a decrease this year. They actually increased a decent amount of percentage from their last year's numbers. So we are seeing, even in the midst of everything that's happening in the world, politically, culturally, this year, we're really happy to see that we had an increase. And so, Stephen, as you've read through and looked at the numbers, what is something when you see this, when you see a decrease / increase in different areas, also when you see so many things happening in the world, that does take effect on international numbers. What are things that you see maybe schools doing in response that maybe you wish they didn't see that? And then what are some things that you see as a positive outlook in this, or some advice to give to schools in this time?
Yeah, for sure. Good question. Firstly, great article. Really, if you have time, have a read through it. Again, another gem that's been found by Mariah. I think typically we have two types of reactions when we see, and I think overall there's been a general overall trend of sort of a little bit of a downward trend, or at least a stagnation of the market a little bit. We last year this time we're really on a high, climbing out of those full effects of COVID. Financially, I think across the world there were a lot of more free finances for people to be able to afford international education, and now we're in a place where maybe that's tightened up a little bit. But typically, especially on a political scale, let's take the finances out. Obviously, when people have money, it's easier for them to be able to invest in international education. Families are easily able to afford it, or more easily, versus if the economy worldwide is a little tight, they're not. But let's talk just politically for a while, because we've seen a lot of things happen politically across the globe that impact international education, and we've typically seen one of two responses. Either schools pull out completely and say the market isn't good, it's tough for international students to get here, and therefore I'm not going to sort of risk putting our program out there. We don't have the resources to do it. And so they either don't invest in their own programs, maybe discontinue their programs momentarily or permanently, and pull out of the market completely. For me, that's mistake number one. I think when you do see things across the globe that maybe you disagree with, your international program can be a beacon of hope. It can be a great opportunity for you as an institution, for you as an individual, as a school collective, to say, come to our program. We continue to believe in international education and the opportunities that we provide to excellent young kids that come here and contribute significantly both to our campus and our community, and end up becoming, really successful products of our program. And so be that beacon of hope. There's nothing worse than going, oh, I don't quite agree with what A and B and C are saying, and so I'm just going to sit here and be dormant about it. Your international program is a great opportunity for you to continue showing your values of diversity, of community building. So that's point number one. So when I see schools that pull out of the market completely, I disagree with that for that point number one. I think for the second point is the fact that the international market, similar to the financial markets, this is the easiest way to think about it, I think, is, has its ups and downs. We've seen that, at least as long as I've been in international education, the last 10 plus years, we've seen it year in, year out, that the markets go up and down. And there are a variety of different reasons, be it COVID, be it political, be it financial, be it geographic, variety of different reasons as to why the market trends up or trends down. We know that the market is resilient. Any market that can make it through a complete shutdown, i.e. COVID-19, is a resilient market. And so there is opportunity in a down market if you remain in the market, if you remain steadfast, if you continue to invest both financially, but also in terms of your resources and building up your program and supporting your students. There's an opportunity for you to pick up students, because a lot of schools do pull out. And so there's less competition, if you will, but also there's an opportunity for you to, in that downward market, continue to put your hand up and really brand yourself as, I'm a program, I'm going to continue to be there. What we've seen in the past is programs that have discontinued or showed less interest or not been willing to invest in their programs. Once they want to re-engage when the market is doing really well, similar to a financial market, their pennies on the dollar are no longer worth as much as they would have been had they invested when the market was really low, right? Anybody that's listening, I think the term is like dollar cost averaging on the financial side. Like if you continue to put $1 away despite the market, you'll see the upside of that investment versus trying to invest when the market is good and you buy an asset that's overpriced. Essentially, it's the same with the international education market. So be careful, be wary of pulling out of the market. Be careful of not continuing to sort of proclaim that international program, because by the time you want to re-engage when the market is doing really well, it's going to take you a couple of months, if not years, to re-engage. And by that time, you've lost out on a ton of great opportunities and students that you would have picked up on, otherwise.
Yeah, that's good. And also, if you want to look at the article, you see at the end of it, there are all these different smaller countries that are investing in international students, and they're seeing their numbers go off. Now, of course, since they are smaller, just starting up their program countries, but their numbers are still significant. So I also just wanted to add that, just because these major countries that usually have a lot, look at the increase elsewhere, which means there are still students wanting to travel to have international education.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And so moving away from the article, I kind of wanted to talk about another thing that currently we as a company focus on in this season, when we look at these numbers, right? Like this is all about recruiting new students. Um, which is amazing. But it's not the only thing that we have to do in this season to maintain international programs. Recruiting new students is equivalently equal, and that's how important it is. It's two double equals is your re-enrollment. And
Mm-hmm.
so you have to equally be investing in recruitment and then equally investing in your re-enrollment. And so in Cambridge, this is our big season for re-enrollment of our students. We're looking on the program ops side. How are we connecting with our students? Are we checking in with them? For a lot of our students, Lunar New Year is a huge importance to them. And so we
Mm-hmm.
invest in having events for them. We invest in checking in on their homesickness. We invest in their futures by offering different programs for them, dual enrollments or getting tutoring. And so this is a big time for schools to also steward that. And so quickly, Stephen, if there's just like one thing a school could do to help re-enrollment for the program, what would you say to them?
Yeah, 100%. Such a good point, Mariah. Like the value of a re-enrolling student is the exact same value, both financially, community-wise, culturally-wise, diversity-wise, as a new student. And in actual fact, a new student will only really bring you value both in terms of the finances, but also the cultural integration and the diversity after year 2 and 3, when they've paid your school tuition for a couple of years, but when they've also had the opportunity to really stamp their culture and their community that they bring into your school campus. So, re-enrollment is so crucial. I think often schools put so much time into let's enroll new students and then forget about them. No, we got to look after them. And so if there are one or two things during this re-enrollment season, number one, student support. And that's really throughout the year. You've got to continue to treat these students incredibly well and make sure that they want to come back to your program, because there are a ton of options out there. And we do see students that go, you know what, the dorm standards weren't up to standard, or, I just wasn't treated with respect or treated really well. And so I'm going to look for other options, and rightfully so if they haven't been treated well. So student support and looking after students is important. What we often see during this time as well is communication. Culturally in Southeast Asia, and I'm generalizing a little bit here, but communication and prompt communication is a huge sign of respect. It's a sign of you wanting that student and that family as part of the community. And so what we often see is schools there's a lot happening. There's domestic enrollment happening. There's new things kicking off the new year. And so the communication falls to the wayside a little bit. And the experience that students and families have of that is, I'm not wanted. The school doesn't value me. And we actually often see students either fall out completely, or agents and families that may have re-enrolled further students or newly enrolled further students at that program go, this is no longer a program that I want to be involved with. They don't respect me. They don't have time for me. So prompt, precision-based communication that really expedites the process of re-enrolling kids, supporting them, I think is so valuable.
Yeah. And I think it's such a practical handlebar to take away, to hold on to, because it doesn't cost you anything to respond. It does not
100%.
cost you anything. It does take some time, but it's an easy win for the school side to invest in. A little bit of time and a little bit of communication would go a long way for re-enrollment.
Yeah. I want to give one quick example. I know we're running out of time. This week in particular, I know it's the beginning of the school year. We had 2 students that were waiting for interview scheduling with the school. The school by the 12th of January had not responded. And by all means, the 12th of January is after the Christmas holiday. And if it isn't, you understand as a school that it's pretty late after the Christmas holiday. Even if you're still on holiday, you make a plan. And we hadn't heard back from the school on these 2 applicants. By the time they got back to us this morning, guess what? One of those applicants had interviewed, accepted, and enrolled at another program. So they lost the opportunity to interview that kid simply because nobody answered an email to say, yes, I'd love to interview them. This is the time I can do. So that might sound like nothing, but you've lost the opportunity to potentially have a student in your program for 3 to 4 years. Think about the financial gain, think about the cultural gain, the community gain. So really, really important.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And if you guys have any questions on that and how what is the best way to set up communication, just reach out to us and we'll be able to square away. If you're a Cambridge partner, we'll remind you of what the process is and who you have on your team. If you're not a Cambridge partner, we would love to help you in that. But yeah, just reach out to us. We'll put our info in the show notes.
Absolutely. Just as we say goodbye, one final reminder as well. We are actually in the midst of planning our headmasters trips, or our recruitment trips. They used to be called headmasters trips, probably more aptly called recruitment trips. In-person recruitment trips. We're going to Vietnam, Korea. We are also going to China. We have partners that are doing either or. We also have partners that are doing both in one big trip. Super, super excited. Those are going on in March, and then we'll have another round of them in the fall as well. So we'll be actually dedicating hopefully our next episode of Mariah and I can get our planning right on those recruitment trips, exactly what they mean and why they're useful and why we've included them as such a unique and important part of what we offer here at Cambridge. So look out for our next episode. As always, remember to like, listen, subscribe, drop us any show notes or drop us any questions, and have a look at the show notes as well. And we will catch you around the next episode of the Cambridge Insider podcast. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Cambridge Insider podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel to never miss an episode. For more Cambridge updates, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Have a great week and stay connected.